Hey everyone, I'm Josiah True and welcome to this episode of Eats and Digs, channel all about food and gardening. On today's episode, I'm going to give you a full garden tour, an update of what's growing in my garden for this 2020 summer growing season. We're just now starting to get into the summer months, so it's a really exciting time. We got a lot of things putting out flowers and some things putting out little tiny fruits, and there's a few things that are actually starting to ripen up. So I'm going to do a little bit of a harvest as well on this video, so let's do it. Starting off here in the front with the container garden. Got my 2 micro tomatoes, and they've got lots of fruit on them now, and we're just now starting to get some that are turning ripe. And these are determinate varieties of tomato. You have indeterminate and determinate. The determinate ones grow to a certain size, put off fruit, and then they start to die off. So this is not disease. These are just fully grown now. This one's actually gotten so heavy with fruits, it's starting to kind of lean over. But it's put out the majority of the fruit that it's going to put out. Got a few more that may come in, but it's pretty much fully grown, and got a few ripe ones that are ready to be picked actually. Nice little cherry tomato. Another one here. A lot of these should be ripe in the next 3 to 5 days, probably. A lot more are gonna be ripe, and here in probably 2 to 3 weeks it should be fully done producing, and then those will be done for the season. Looking up here, this was a tomato plant that I wasn't 100% sure the seeds that I put. I knew the varieties that I had, but I mixed the seedlings up when I first transplanted them, so somewhat of a mystery, but I know what they are now. So this is a green variety of tomato. They actually stay green. They ripen green. And it's called Green Versacenes. I'm probably not saying that right, but something like that. And the way you know that they're ripe is they'll actually start to turn a little bit more yellow in the stripes here, not completely yellow, just a hint of yellow, and they'll get a little bit soft. So these are closer to being ready, the ones down here. If you come up here, you can see this is a little more white looking, and they're much harder to the touch. So I think some of these ones on the bottom are going to be ready pretty soon. Looking over here, we've had some nice growth on this one. This is a caramel scorpion pepper. It's a really hot variety. And then got a black pearl pepper. It's coming in. This was the habanero, the Caribbean red habanero that I cut back. Put out a lot of flowers, and a lot of them were dropping at first. I think it was just because it was pretty hot. You can see like this even had a little fruit on it and dropped. We had some really hot weather and then a lot of rain, and so a lot of the flowers are falling off, but the weather's starting to stabilize now, and we've got quite a lot of little fruits on them coming in. So this is the Caribbean red habanero that I overwintered, cut back, and let it regrow back this year. And it's doing really, really well. This one here is a mystery pepper that I wasn't sure what it was. And we've got some fruits on it. And to be 100% honest, I still don't know exactly what these are. It's possible that they're a Carolina Reaper that might have gotten cross-pollinated with something else that I had last year, because they don't exactly look like Carolina Reapers. They are definitely going to be something super hot because they have that look, kind of a little bell-shaped look. Not much of a stinger, but a little tiny bit of one. And they're very bumpy, wrinkly. So you can really see they got some really bumpy flesh here, which pretty much indicates it's something that's going to be really hot. And that's a lot of what I grew last year. So we'll see here in the next couple weeks once these ripen up and I can actually pick one and taste one, more or less what it actually is. But it's something hot. But this one was another mystery. I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but I know 100% now. This is a banana pepper. And it's got quite a few decent sized pods coming in. Some of them are getting close to being ripe. And starting to form a few more flowers up here on top. So that's fun. And if you look back here, this is starting to put out fruit. It was another mystery as well. And it's looking like these are some type of ghost pepper, I think. I don't know for sure, but it looks a little more that way. Again, once these ripen up and I can actually taste them, I'll get a lot better idea. But it's putting out quite a few fruit and got a lot of flowers on it now. I believe this one in the back is another mystery. Yeah. And it does not have any fruit on it yet, but it's getting bigger. And it looks like it's going to start putting out flowers here really soon. Here's 5-color pepper. It's Brazilian starfish, which is looking pretty good. Hasn't put anything out yet. Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion, that's looking really good. Starting to just now put out some flowers. 7-pot yellow brain strain. It's looking fairly well. Don't see any flowers yet on it. And there was my little okra that I put in, and it is starting to get quite big now, and it looks like we got one little tiny okra starting to form. Alright, up onto the patio. Here is a nasturtium flower. It's really produced a lot of flowers for being in just this little container. Really impressed with that. I hadn't grown these in containers before, so I wasn't sure how well it would do, but it's really performed well. I got my Thai basil. It's grown a whole lot. And I've been pinching the tops off, and it's been growing back nicely. Been using it. I actually used it for a stir fry tonight. It was really good. Here are my purple tomatillos. Got the 2 plants here because they need to pollinate each other so that they'll actually put fruit on. And it's starting to put out tons of little flowers. Both of them are pretty loaded down with flowers and buds on them. So hopefully I'll get some fruit off that really soon. This one was one that was a mystery, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I thought that it was one of those little green cherry tomatoes. But I think this is actually a different variety. Not 100% sure yet, but I think it might be a Rio Grande. They get a little more oval, not as round. So it's looking pretty good. putting out quite a few little tomatoes. Here's my ground cherry, or pineapple tomatillo, and it's got some little fruits on it. It's not doing so good. I thought it would get a lot bigger. I don't know. Probably just need to give it a little fertilizer boost or something, but it's doing okay. It's putting out a few fruits. Here I had a fish pepper. It wasn't doing so good. I think it got a little bit too much rain and then a lot of heat, and it's just been struggling. So I pulled it up here onto the patio from being down to see if it would come back a little bit. This one is a Tabasco. It's doing pretty well. And here is a really cool variety. It's the Kangstar Lemon Starburst. So this is one of the most popular pepper plants right now. That if you're in like the pepper lovers community or something like that, everybody wants these seeds. It's a really cool variety. I think it's a Bohemian Goat mixed with a Scotch bonnet, and that created the Lemon Starburst, which is kind of a UFO looking bright yellow pod, and it's supposed to be quite hot and one of the best tasting varieties. I've never grown it before. I just got the seeds, and it seems to be doing okay. A little slow growing, but hopefully it'll turn out. I'm super pumped to see if I can get some pods off of it this year. And we got our mixed basil down here. It's not doing so hot, but I think it got a little bit overwatered and wasn't getting enough sun. I had it further over there, so I moved it to let it get more sun, and I'm trying not to water it as much. My oregano that I cut back, it's doing quite well. My last few little seedlings, all the rest of the seedlings are gone, planted out in the garden, which I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. They're out in the raised beds. And these guys are just doing fantastic. There's 2 peppers in here. They are both thriving. And they're both starting to put out little pods now, which I wasn't exactly sure what they were. I had a pretty good idea, but I wasn't sure, and now I'm pretty sure. So this guy right here, this is a Carolina Reaper. I grew these last year, and I had the seeds again, and I thought I had planted some. I just wasn't sure which cups they were in. So you can see the stinger there, nice bell shape. So that one's definitely going to be a Carolina Reaper, and it has a ton of flowers on it. And from last year, the plant that I grew last year, I got like hundreds of pods off of it by the end of the season. Now the other one, this one closer, it's possible this could be another Carolina Reaper. Just this pod is a little odd shaped, which can happen. You know, peppers don't always exactly look the same. Or it's possible this was crossed. A Carolina Reaper crossed with something else I had in the garden, and so we're gonna keep an eye on it and see how the other pods end up looking. And that'll be cool once it's full of pods and we can really tell exactly what happened with that. Here's another mystery that hasn't put out any pods yet. Got a few tiny little flowers coming in, but not much. So still not sure what that is. And then these two guys, Sugar Rush Peach and a yellow habanero. They were kind of the same as that other one I just showed you over there, that they're struggling pretty bad. They're pretty yellow. The leaves are curling up. And I think this is from overwatering and being in too hot of an area too soon. So it looked like, you know, it looks like, oh, they're nutrient deficient or something. Well, I've given them multiple different fertilizers a couple different times, and they still just look like this. So I'm just going to back up on the watering, and I'm going to keep them a little more shaded and see if they'll pick back up here in another month or so. And if they don't make it, that's okay too. Not everything can make it. And over here, these are all my dried arugula plants that I'm now taking the seeds from. So you can see here, each one of these little pods puts out a bunch of little seeds. So I'll have those in abundance for next year. All right, now around to the side. Here we are on the side area of the garden. This, as I mentioned in last video, this area used to just be mulched over because it's fairly shady here, so you know, I wasn't quite sure if much would thrive here if I planted it, but I went ahead and tried it this year, and I'm really glad I did because it is doing fantastic. I pulled a few things out that weren't doing as well and replanted here. It's more of an experimental bed, and I'm really happy the way it's going right now. So starting here on the end is a bunch of lettuce. Lots of different varieties of lettuce, and I've already harvested quite a bit of the lettuce, and it keeps growing back and looking amazing. Stuck a little okra in here. It's doing okay. And I had quite a few pepper seedlings that were just extras. So decided to put them in here, and they're looking really good actually. Got a caramel scorpion here. I think this is a banana pepper. Black pearl, Sugar Rush Peach, and mango. And also had a little extra tomato seedling I put back there. I think that's some kind of cherry tomato, I'm not sure. And I had some spinach, and I just started pulling this out because it's starting to go to seed. It didn't do great. I think I got a late start on it, but that's okay. Have our peas up here, which have ended up putting out lots of peas, and I've harvested tons from this, and they're starting to die back, but they're still making it, still putting out flowers, so I'll leave them in for another couple weeks. Have a tomato plant that's looking really good. Some basil that's now starting to look good. It was looking kind of puny for a while and is just now starting to take off. Got some dill here that's looking really good. And just in time, because I got some cucumbers, so I'm going to make some pickles. And then we got just a variety of greens here. The kale, another couple peppers sprinkled in, some beets that are doing alright. Some more kale, another okra. Oh, and this one's actually starting to put out a couple little fruits. And some Swiss chard. Now on to the raised beds. First off, we have our little island area. we're just going to get into more of the produce here. Got our squash, which I just harvested. A couple of squash. And it's putting out new ones already. And another squash on that end. And if you look further over, got a couple more okras. Here's my cucumbers. Got a few different varieties here. And they're starting to put out a lot of cucumbers now. I've already harvested a few. And we got quite a few more coming in. And this right here, we're getting a little bit of powdery mildew. It's not a big deal. I'm cutting some of the leaves off, and I may come and give it a spray with like some hydrogen peroxide or something like that, a mix to help tame it. But cucumbers always get this, squash as well, so I'm not too worried about it. Here we got another variety putting out some nice cucumbers. I'd say here in another couple weeks these things are gonna get like double the size, like the actual plant's gonna get double the size, and they're just gonna explode with tons and tons of fruit. Here we have more cucumbers that are starting to climb up this cattle panel trellis. I'm really excited about this variety. I hadn't grown it before. These little round guys are lemon cucumbers. So they're just called that because they're shaped like a lemon, and when they ripen, they get really yellow, and they stay fairly small. So this one's actually pretty much ready. I'm really excited to try these. I haven't actually had one of these that I've grown myself before, so those are fun. And it's got a lot of little tiny ones coming in, so that should be loaded down soon. Another cucumber. This is also an interesting, kind of a rare variety of cucumber. I think it's called like a Punakira cucumber, and they almost get like a hard skin, and they're supposed to be this color, kind of like an orangey brown. This one is pretty much ready to harvest. It's ripe, I think. A few more cucumbers. I think this is another lemon cucumber. On to the tomatoes. The tomatoes are doing quite well. Starting to get quite a few fruits on them now. This one is our Dr. Witchy's yellow. Really excited about this one. Got quite a few little fruits coming in on it, and a lot more up here. Now I've been pruning this one. I've been pruning the suckers off. So you can see down here in this crotch area, a little sucker will start growing out, and I just pinched that off because I don't want a whole lot of side shoots. I'm trying to get this one to grow really tall and single stem it to where it grows all the way up and is actually like 6-7 foot tall potentially. In here, this one is Paul Robeson. I'm doing the same thing with all the tomatoes in this bed. I'm trying to single stem them so that they grow really tall, the fruits get really big, and you don't have a whole lot of side shoots coming out all over the place. Also just contains them and gives you a little more room to plant a few things in between. A couple more peppers in between I have planted here now. There's A lot of this kale I chopped back, and I pretty much chopped them like way back because they were like up to here, and I chopped them way back and they're already starting to just come back again. So I'm gonna have to chop them back again. May pull a couple more of those out, like completely pull them out. We'll just have to see. This one I did not chop back, I left it. Wanted to have one that I could continue harvesting on continuously. This is our sun globe. Same thing here, putting out nice tomatoes. Got another fruiting stalk coming out here. And here's a sucker, so I'm gonna pinch that off. So I do not want that growing. Just pinch that off. Got another little tiny one down here. Go ahead and pinch that off too. Oh, and another one. I hadn't checked this one in a couple days, I guess. It's another Paul Robeson. Not growing quite as well as the one on the other side, but it's still doing all right and starting to put out some fruits. A couple little suckers here. Oh, this was our volunteer tomato that came up from something that I had planted last year, and there was like 2 other ones in here, and I just pulled 2 of those out, and I left this one, which has gotten a lot bigger now and doing quite well. So I'm just gonna kind of leave it. May end up staking it up as well and just let it do its thing. And this is another Kangstar Lemon Starburst. And this is the Kangstar Star Kiss, which is similar to the Lemon Starburst. It's just a orange variety. And I'm not sure the exact cross on that one. And I just interplanted those. They're looking fairly good. This is another Dr. Witchy's that's doing quite well as well. Hasn't really put out much fruit yet, but it's just now starting to. Here's all my other kales. And a collard. And dinosaur kale. I think this is like the blue ruffles kale. And the Swiss chard. And these are all doing really, really well. Down in there you can see my little sorrel plant, which it's actually doing really well too. It's just kind of getting shaded up by some of the kale. Moving on to the last raised bed, which is now the pepper bed. And before we get there, this is the little island, and I filled out the front of it a little bit more. Have a pineapple tomato here, squash or zucchini, green zucchini, a burgundy okra, another burgundy okra, a sun gold, actually I think this is a sun sugar cherry tomato, and then here's our squash, or this is yellow zucchini, cucumber that's doing really, really well. I've actually already harvested a couple cucumbers off this one. And there's a few more little ones coming in. A couple more yellow zucchini. If you look down in there, got a couple little babies coming in. These grow quite fast, so probably here in another week or so they'll be ready. Right, now the pepper bed. So the first we'll start from the end. Got more cucumbers. This is the cucamelon, the one here in the middle. You can see these little tiny cucamelons forming. Here in just a couple days these will be ready, or at least some of them will. And it is really climbing up this trellis. It's actually climbed up a lot more already than what I thought it would. It's beaten out all the cucumbers. And here's another lemon cucumber that's doing really well. It's starting to really climb up. It's got a lot of little babies on it. And two pretty big ones. One here and one down here. And these are really ready to harvest. Really cool. So excited to see how these taste. Moving around, come to the end here. I started planting from this first row back. So these first ones were planted like a week or so before the other ones. And they're doing fairly well. Starting out, we got ahi mango. Got a Brazilian starfish, fish pepper, and ahi lemon. The ahi lemon's starting to put out some flowers now. There's my scarlet kale here in the back. It's continuing to do really well. Got a few straggler lettuces still hanging in there. Most of them are about to bolt, so they'll be coming out here in the next few days. May put one or two more peppers or something else in there. Here's a habanero. Second row here. So this is a 7-pot yellow brain strain. Really hot variety. Really excited for that one. A Kangstar pumpkin habanero, which apparently this one kind of looks like a little small pumpkin, the pod, and it's not actually that hot apparently. I've never had it before, but that's what I've heard. This one is a caramel moruga scorpion. And the last one on this row is peach ghost scorpion. So those two are going to be really hot varieties. Next row, hiding under this monster kale that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Look at those leaves. Huge. As you can see, I've cut this thing back like 100 times and it just keeps putting out new, really big leaves and actually hasn't tried to flower on me. So I'm definitely going to keep leaving it in and harvesting off that. Alright, now the next row. See under here, this is a Murasaki, which the pods are totally black. It's supposed to be more of a sweet pepper. It's a Japanese variety. Really cool. And the next one is a Mad Hatter. And this big one is a Cubanelle, which is a sweet pepper. and a Sugar Rush Peach, which is doing really, really well. Starting to put out a ton of flowers. I haven't grown this one before either, but everybody says it puts out tons of pods. It's a pretty hot variety, not crazy hot, but it is hot, and it's supposed to taste really, really good as well. Moving around. Here's one of my volunteer tomatoes that's taken off and done really, really well so far. Probably gonna end up staking it up soon. Alright, the next one we have, this is the Chinese 5-color. So the pods are going to be all different colors. I already got a purple one in here. It's really, really cool. Already putting off a lot more flowers. So that one's going to be fun. Then just have a bell pepper. And this small one down here, and this one are banana peppers, and they're the hot variety of banana pepper. Still not crazy hot, but there's a sweet banana pepper and a hot banana, and these are the hot banana. Then in the back, surrounded by the beets, is just a red chili. Next row here we have a Soriano, which is really good for salsas, Spanish dishes. Then this is the Kangstar Sweet Misery. Really cool variety. Then the last row have a Kangstar Lemon Starburst. It's struggling a little bit. It's starting to look slightly better. But this was the last row I planted, so they were planted a week or two after some of the first ones. So I think they'll catch up soon. It's a yellow habanero. Starting to put off a few little flowers there. And the last one is Kangstar Starkiss. And the only other thing in this bed is this other volunteer tomato that's doing really, really well. And all the rest in the back are beets, which they're doing quite well. I've already pulled a few. As you can see down there, we got quite a few little bulbs. Nice one. And that's the tour for now. I'm really excited to see how all this turns out, and I will update you guys in another couple weeks probably on how these beds are coming along and everything else. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Update on the Garden. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below for our future up and coming videos. I'm Josiah True with Eats and Digs, and we'll catch you on the next one.